Make sure you grab different color spray paints, different size thread edges, and everyday household items like cups or lids. My name is Arturo Lopez, and I created Spraycasso Studios back in 1999. I have then continued to show people diverse ways of creating master paintings in just a few minutes using nothing more than just spray paints and everyday household items. The beauty of this art is that you don't have to have a steady hand or know how to draw. All it requires is a little bit of imagination and some dedication. So join us, and you too can become a Spraycasso master. I will walk you through diverse techniques of creating beginner level paintings, intermediate level paintings and techniques, advanced level paintings, and we'll take your skills even further to master level paintings. So if you guys are ready to embark into a new art adventure, then grab your spray paints and materials. Let's get started. Hey crew, so in today's tutorial we're going to do something a little bit different. Well, heck, we're known for trying different things here with our spray paint tutorials. So you're going to need two different types of tape: masking tape, and the other one is a form of like detailing. A lot of car places use this for striping on cars, so you're going to need one of these as well, unless you got scissors and you can cut your own masking tape. Otherwise, go find some. You can find this in automobile places. And I am creating the shape, well, I might as well let you know, it's going to be Polaroids, guys. Yep, you remember the old Polaroids? If not, I feel really old. But we're trying to mimic the effect of Polaroids. I'm going to create some shadows here. And as you can tell, the thickest part of the masking tape is going to be on the bottom. And you're going to create a little small rectangle, square I mean, with the thin part of the tape. With the thin tape, right? Alright, just like I'm doing here, and it's going to take a few tries. See, I have a spare scissors here on the bottom that I'm using to do some minor trimming. And notice on top I went ahead and added a little bit of black. That's to create the effect of a shadow, guys. Then I waited a little bit for this to dry. Now I'm just going to trim it here a little bit more. Okay, and using this little spare piece, I'm going to put that on top of that. Okay, awesome. So see, it's going to take a little bit of working, especially if you're going to overlap your Polaroids together. Okay, I made a few of them. So let's begin with the first Polaroid. Now guys, I'm not going to go into great detail with these Polaroids because they're small anyways, but I'm trying to combine all the techniques that I've showed you guys into one painting. I know, it's crazy, huh? So consider the Polaroids as a form of stencil. Now I'm going to create, it's going to be an ocean view. It's not going to have, like I said, a lot of great detail, but it does have, I sprayed some orange, and then I put a little magnet on top. You can use a coin as well. Make sure you get some white, some of the white and some of the orange. Now I'm just going to put some sky colors. I'm going to use some red, some orange. Make sure you get all the way around your stencil, in this case our magnet or coin. And add a little bit of yellow here, just like that. Now keep in mind, especially if you have new cans, you're going to have a lot of pressure behind your cans, and these Polaroids are awfully small, so do take that under consideration when spray painting. Okay, I'm going to create the water. Remember, this is the liquefy technique, guys. Liquefy technique. A little bit of blue, a little bit of white, a magazine sheet, and it can be a small one, right? And you're just going to move that back and forth, creating, well, the liquefy technique. It'll give you a more realistic water waves, very realistic ocean. You can also use the water tinting on top of this to reflect the sky colors. Alright, so we're just going to move back and forth. And this is also another great way, if you paint small, guys, to refine your techniques a little bit. I know it sounds crazy, but it's worth a try. Now we're going to create a space scenery. With the texture technique, we're going to put our light color first, in this case being the green, and then covering it with black. Then we're going to do the same with purple. I actually managed to find a purple spray can that I had laying around, guys. Otherwise, remember, it can be any other color as long as you cover it with your neutral black on top. Okay, I'm going to create the terrain layer here, and I'm just going to use some orange, some green, and very much like our texture technique, we're going to cover that with our neutral black. Guys, neutral colors is gloss white, gloss black. Okay, just adding some random colors here. For our background, this is going to be perhaps a nebula. Now let's create the texture technique on those planets. Remember, it's very easy, guys. Just tap and remove, tap and remove. I definitely encourage you that if you want to refine your techniques, try making a smaller spray painting. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, guys, but I'm telling you, it works great. It puts a lot more things into perspective. Here I added some stencils. It could be a coin, it could be anything small, but it has to be round. And make sure you go all the way around your stencils, guys. All the way around. Okay, I'm not going to cover the entire thing. I do want some of the purple to kind of fade into the background. This will be our nebula. Now with the smaller magazine sheet, I am creating the terrain. Look at that. Okay. Awesome. With the magazine sheet, I just went over, removed most of the black, smeared some areas, created the the terrain technique, and that gave us our terrain. Now, 45-degree angle, I went ahead and I used the star technique to create the stars in the background. So now we have earthbound scenery, right, which is the ocean, the planets. Let's create something else. Here I'm going to create, it's going to be another earthbound scenery. It's going to be a little bit of, I don't know, perhaps just a nice scenery in the background. I'm spraying some orange, a little bit of yellow, some purple. Okay. I'm going to create some trees here, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with the tree leaves. And this is going to be a silhouette. This is going to be a silhouette technique because it's just black. No other colors, just black. Now I know what you guys are saying. Well, Spray, you're kind of tapping into a little bit of that orange there. Believe me, guys, I'm trying not to. I'm just creating a silhouette layer. And this is going to include our ground, our tree leaves, and yes, even some trees here in the background. How? Well, with our handy dandy spraycasso funnel. Now I went ahead and I made a small one for this. Yeah, I could have used a big one, but it would take so much longer for the paint to travel. So I made a really handy dandy smaller spraycasso funnel to use on this. Alright, a little bit more black. Really wavy trees here. I'm just going to create some branches in the background. Look at that. The water came out a little more yellow than I wanted it to, but keep in mind this is a small painting, so every little burst of, from my spray can is imagine a giant spray can trying to paint on your canvas, so you get a bigger burst. But it's okay. You guys get the technique, right? What I'm trying to do here. A little bit of white to create the our terrain here on the bottom. Perhaps a little bit of black too to give it some shadow. And there you go. Of course, this would be a little different if it was bigger, but for all purposes, guys, come on. It'll work. Now, let's see. What's another type of painting that we've done? A black and white. I know you guys love black and white. I do too. I really do. I really do enjoy them. So we're just going to create some terrain. I've already divided the sky between the sky and our water layer. And added a little bit of white just to make the distinction a little more noticeable. With our spraycasso funnel, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing that we did on the other one. Just create some minor trees here in the background. Some terrain as well. So see, so far we've already covered a lot of the techniques that we've talked about, right, in our past tutorials. The black and white, space sceneries, landscapes, black and white. So I thought it'd be a nice little refresher for all of you, to take another look at some of the paintings that we've done, some of the techniques that we've used in the past, in a creative twist. So we're going to be doing this in in a Polaroid type of, kind of like remembering some of the techniques that we've used in the past. Yes, I know, I'm just kind of creative that way, and I encourage you guys to try it. Alright, so with this little bit of a sea sponge, I tapped into some black, and that gives us our more realistic tree leaves. I've always explained that in all my videos. Not the foam brush, not a sock, not a cloth. It's good if you're going to experiment, but once you experiment with the sea sponge and you'll see the difference, guys. So, just a little bit there. And voila. Alright. Now there's another technique that I haven't covered. I covered it a little bit, but that's my spray on spray technique. I used to call it the wet on wet techniques, guys. But there's also a technique out there called the wet on wet, and is used on oils and in acrylics as well. Mostly oils. It was created by Bob Ross. So I can't really call it the wet on wet technique. I'll call it the spray on spray technique. And that's when you add your layers underneath, different colors, and then you cover it with a neutral white. Okay, so that's what we're trying to prepare here for. And I thought it was very suiting, because when I first came up with this technique, it was to create plant life. So here I'm just going to add a different twist. I'm going to create some plant life in the background, some weeds growing back here. This is clear coat that I'm adding, guys, and that's just so that I can manipulate the paint, scratch the top colors off, revealing just the green that we spray painted earlier. Now I had to be very careful not to get the white or the yellow into my Polaroids here, guys. Now we're going to work another technique. So we've already done the spray on spray. Now we're going to create the dream technique. If you guys haven't seen this technique before, you haven't been watching my videos, I love this technique, and that's just when you fade a thin layer of black throughout your painting, giving it well, I call it the dream technique because it reminds me of a dream. You know, it just fades the black into the painting. Plus, in this case, it will give me a nice little spot here on the bottom right to sign my painting. Okay, so see, we're just combining all the techniques that we've done throughout the years and putting it into one. And we're being very creative about it. Okay, so you just continue doing that. You want some of that mist to land into your painting. It'll give it a nice little fading effect. Alright, crew. Let's see, what else? I'm just going to go ahead and sign it now before I add any other layers. Spraycasso. Always want to date it. It's good for you guys to date it. That way you'll remember. You know, and it's a nice way to see your technique from the past. Now, guys, this is my famous spraycasso bubble maker. Kind of looks like a belt, huh? I created this to create bubbles. At the time, there was no other way to create bubbles, and this is a perfect way that you can create different size bubbles without having to have different, you know, stencils made. You just make one. The way this works, guys, make sure your painting is nice and dry before you put this on there, and you just want to add little bursts, different color bursts throughout your little bubble maker, and try and keep it as round as possible, guys, as well. I just added some purple, some yellow, some green, and a little bit of, oh, let's add some more green here. But you also want to add white. White is what will give it a nice little reflection to it. It'll give it that water look to it. And you want to add that in two opposite corners. One here and one there, and look at that. You have your bubbles. And like magic, I made a bunch more. I sneezed and they all came out. Can I say I'm spraycasso? Alright, so obviously I showed you how to create one bubble. You can do the rest. Let's add the star technique, the comet technique, I mean. That's just when you gently put your can down and tap it very, very gently. It's okay if it overlaps your picture, guys. It's going to be a sub-real painting anyways. Alright, now let's remove what we've created. Let's remove the tape from our Polaroids. And there you have it, folks. Very gentle when doing this. Let's take a look at our painting. Let's see what it looks like already. Now I'm showing you this because I have another tutorial that I want to go into, and it's going to include the Polaroid technique. So, you know, it's good for you guys to kind of get a gesture of how it works, get a concept before I get into the other painting. Look at that. Simple painting, yet it has so many different techniques in there. With white, you got to be very careful when doing this to create a nice little, perfect little circular glow effect to your bubbles. It just gives it more realism, guys. And there you have it. Look at that. You got 4 nice little Polaroid pictures reminding you of the paintings that we've done in the past. The spray on spray technique, the bubble technique, and the dream technique. It's a very complex painting, yet very simple to do. Alright guys, till next time, keep those cans shaking.